This video is brought to you by my loyal Patreon supporters. Stay tuned to find out how you too can support the channel, including a huge new project I'm working on. When it comes to rail transit, Texas isn't generally a hotspot. Houston has a modest setup, El Paso has a nice little tourist streetcar, Austin's trying, and San Antonio never even got started. But what's going on in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex? Well, this area stands out as the exception to the Texan norm, with trains galore in nearly every mode imaginable. So of course, I had to check it out. First, a brief introduction to the area. Dallas and Fort Worth are major cities about 30 miles apart, and the greater Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex houses a population of 7.6 million people, making it the fourth largest metro area in the US. Since the area we're covering today is so vast, we're gonna need two different maps. We'll start with downtown Dallas, where the local transit operator is called DART, Dallas Area Rapid Transit. Besides city buses, DART operates 4 light rail services, the green, orange, red, and blue lines, which all converge into a transitway downtown, serving 4 shared stations. From St. Paul Station, the M-Line Heritage Streetcar connects the downtown transitway to McKinney Avenue and Uptown, including City Place Uptown Station, the only underground train station in Texas. The Green Line continues southeast to the Deep Ellum and Baylor Medical Center stations, while to the northwest we find Victory Station. To the southwest we find the Eddie Bernice Johnson Union Station, which, in addition to light rail traffic, sees service on the Trinity Railway Express, a commuter service to Fort Worth, as well as daily trips by the Amtrak Texas Eagle. We start our adventure at Baylor, where we catch the Green Line to downtown. Tempting, tempting. Our train is a Kinky Chariot Super Light Rail Vehicle, or SLRV, a design unique to DART that features both high and low floor sections.
Do your part while riding DART. Wear a cloth mask.
Passing through Deep Ellum, we enter downtown, whose plethora of parking lots feel jarring to this East Coaster. It's less than a block from St. Paul Station to the pickup point for the M-Line trolley, which is one of the most uniquely managed transit services in the country. Rather than being a DART service, the M-Line trolley is run by the McKinney Avenue Transit Authority, a non-profit group that has been operating heritage streetcars in Dallas since 1989. Currently, their fleet spans decades and continents, ranging from a 1909 Brill car to a 70s-era Westinghouse one built for Brussels. Today's ride, however, is a Toronto Transit Commission PCC, nicknamed Margaret, which was built in 1951 and retrofitted for Dallas service with left-side doors. Soon we're rolling down McKinney Avenue, passing all sorts of shops, restaurants, and museums, including the Dallas Museum of Art, the Nasher Sculpture Center, and the Crow Collection of Asian Art. This area feels a bit more human than downtown, but the abundance of cars is still noticeable. Before too long, we're arriving at City Place Uptown Station, having completed our 2-mile journey. This expansion of the M-Line opened in 2002, and it contains a very unique feature, a turntable for trolleys. Okay, just everything about this setup is amazing. Now that Margaret's gone, it's time to head into the underground portion of City Place Uptown Station. This opened as an infill station in December 2000 and was the first public subway station in the American Southwest. The station's tracks are 120 feet below ground, a similar depth to Bethesda Station on the Washington Metro. Safe aboard the Orange Line, we ride back up to the surface and re-enter the downtown transitway. This brick-laden transit and pedestrian mall was built after plans for a downtown subway were rejected by voters, and it sort of serves as a diet version of SEPTA's Center City Tunnel. Back on the Green Line, and I am starving. So time for some authentic Texas barbecue.
This is the Green Line.
Back in Deep Ellum, and looking for vittles. Perfection. Perfection. Those ribs were probably the best ribs I've ever had in my entire life, and the brisket was right up there. Fried okra just didn't do it for me though. But overall, perfection. Now to ride some more trains! Another nice thing about the transitway is that the platforms are all kind of linked together as one big sidewalk. Bonus Dallas facts that I googled while I was eating those fantastic ribs. A few notable Dallas inventions include the microchip, laser tag, 7-Eleven, and the term the Super Bowl. For some reason they're playing opera in the St. Paul station. I don't know why. So that was downtown Dallas. But we've just scratched the surface of what this Metroplex has to offer in terms of transit. So it's time for a new map, and this one's a doozy. From downtown Dallas, the Trinity Railway Express commuter rail runs to Fort Worth, passing through Irving. TRE is a joint effort between DART and Trinity Metro, Fort Worth's transit agency. Back to light rail, DART's red line serves Westmoreland, while the green line serves Buckner, and the blue line's 2 branches serve Rowlett and UNT Dallas. A shared red and orange line corridor serves Plano, although orange line service only runs the full route at peak times. The green line ends at North Carrollton, but just south of this, we found a bit of a strange setup at Trinity Mills Station. The A train, a 21-mile DMU commuter rail line, travels from here to the city of Denton, and while cross-platform transfers are available to the green line, the services and transfers are irregularly timed, and between them it takes over an hour to get from Denton to Dallas. Meanwhile, the orange line passes Dallas Love Field and the Las Colinas development, before arriving at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. Trinity Metro's TexRail commuter service links said airport to downtown Fort Worth, and it stops in various suburbs, including Grapevine, which is also the eastern terminus of the Grapevine Vintage Railroad, a tourist line that shares TexRail trackage before branching off to the Fort Worth stockyards. And of course, Dallas-Fort Worth Airport has its own 4.8-mile transit system called Skylink. Phew! I think that's everything, if we don't count future suburban commuter rail or gadget bonds from the recent past. Back at the transit mall, we hop on board the DART Orange Line for a much longer trip than any we've done thus far. We pass downtown, Reunion Tower, and the American Airlines Center before we encounter a fairly typical Texan sight: freeways as far as the eye can see. Automated announcements warn against smoking on a surprisingly frequent basis.
As a reminder to all passengers, smoking is prohibited on the train and all station platforms. As a reminder to all passengers, smoking is prohibited on the train.
This probably has something to do with every DART train I rode smelling like cigarettes. Seriously, it's one of the worst smelling light rails I've ever ridden. We passed close to Love Field Airport, the original base for Southwest Airlines. Unfortunately, passengers need to take a shuttle bus to access the terminal. This is perhaps because the light rail alignment here, like most of the system, isn't built specifically for DART, but rather reused railroad infrastructure. In this case, it's a line formerly belonging to the Missouri-Kansas-Texas, otherwise known as the Katy. We branch off of the Green Line and reach Las Colinas, an affluent, pre-planned community with its own automated people mover. This on-demand system acted as miniature local transit, linking DART rail to various office buildings in the area akin to the Morgantown PRT, but it has been permanently suspended since 2020, and its fate now lies in question. The further we go, the more one realizes that DART's lines are pretty long. In fact, DART is the second longest light rail system in the United States after Los Angeles, with 93 miles of track. But that said, it's only the 6th most ridden system. This may be because trains operate on 20-minute headways a lot of the time, and they tend to reach out into suburbs more often than dense central neighborhoods. DART has also been criticized for not investing enough into its bus network. And indeed, despite Dallas having the biggest rail system in Texas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio, and El Paso have higher transit ridership per capita simply because of their bus networks. At long last, we're scooting under the runway at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport before coming to a stop at Terminal A.
My battery is at 13% and I left my charger in my hostel. Oh no.
From here, it's a very short walk to Terminal B, which features a station for the brand new TexRail, a modern commuter rail system running Stadler-Flirt diesel multiple units between the airport and downtown Fort Worth. This train feels much newer than DART's equipment, and it definitely smells nicer. Our second stop after leaving the airport is Grapevine, which doubles as the terminus for the tourist-oriented Grapevine Vintage Railroad, although the two use separate platforms, creating a bit of a jarring contrast between old and new designs. No excursion trains are running this evening, but the railroad's yard has a few hidden gems, most notably a Bud SPV, which was basically an Amfleet with a diesel engine attached. This design was mostly a dud, but 2 cars did end up in service in Morocco of all places, as the King's Royal Train. Most of TexRail is single-tracked with passing sidings, and its right-of-way originally belonged to the Cotton Belt, officially the St. Louis Southwestern Railway, which was eventually merged into Southern Pacific in 1992.
There's nobody in the train.
Before long, we're approaching downtown Fort Worth, where we pass equipment belonging to the Heartland Flyer, an Amtrak service that runs daily from Fort Worth Central Station to Oklahoma City. I'm not sure why it doesn't continue to Dallas, but let me know in the comments if there is a reason for this. Finally, we come to a stop at Fort Worth's Texas and Pacific Station. This enormous building was opened in 1931, and has now been repurposed as a commuter rail terminal.
Okay, we have made it to Fort Worth, and I am on 8% battery, which is not great, but we got 45 minutes until the train back to Dallas, so let's see what we can see. Then, Caleb saw something that made him very, very happy. Come on, come on, come on, come on. No! The kiosk was not happy with my card, so I'm going to get the app and try that. I'm now at 5%. Success! Now off to buy a phone charger and find somewhere to plug it in.
I swing by the Fort Worth Water Gardens, which have been here since 1974. Then I bike through downtown, passing by the Sundance Square Commercial District.
As it turns out, the CVS does not have phone chargers.
Caleb didn't do his research, 'cause that's a Walgreens.
I'm going to try to catch my train back to Dallas and grab my charger from my hostel, but apologies if there is less footage for this next little bit.
For our trip back to Dallas, we're riding Trinity Railway Express, the first commuter train in the DFW Metroplex, and the most ridden of the 3 currently in existence. This one uses bi-level cars and diesel locomotives akin to GO Transit, and is painted rather patriotically in the colors of the Texas flag. Since I'm really low on battery, here's Fort Worth, here's the nap I took on the train, and here's Dallas. And that's about all the time I had to see Dallas Transit. The next morning, I visited the site of John F. Kennedy's assassination, where the conspiracy theorists have been hard at work. The comments for this video are going to be fun, aren't they? Then I hopped onto a Greyhound and headed to Austin and San Antonio. Dallas was impressive in terms of infrastructure. In a state and part of the country where transit is not usually a priority, they've defied the odds and created the bones of a good system. With future expansion in both lines and schedule, Dallas could be a world-class transit city. Right now, it's getting there. I started making travel videos 2 years ago in the city of New Haven, Connecticut. It's a small, charming city with a south-facing coastline and plenty of history. Now, I'm planning another trip to a small, charming city with a south-facing coastline and plenty of history called New Haven. One word. This New Haven isn't in Connecticut. It's in England. Indeed, with the exception of Philadelphia and Providence, all of the Northeast Corridor's major cities have names derived from places in the British Isles, all of which are still accessible by transit. So in the near future, I'm hoping to visit all of them and bring you guys with me. If you are a fan of the Northeast Corridor and you'd like to see this extraordinary journey become reality, check out my Patreon or consider making a one-time donation to my fundraiser page for the project. Thanks a ton, and take care.